We're live. Start.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope you came prepared to take in what we are dishing out today. This is the last episode of our soft skills session. I'm happy that you are here. My name is Daudu Emmanuel Solomon, and today I'll be anchoring this soft skills session along with my co-author, Mr. Emmanuel Enema. We are both from the cybersecurity skill track, and we are here to welcome you today. I'd like us to introduce ourselves in the comment section. Tell us your name, your skill track, and where you are joining us from. Welcome. You're welcome, Doris Godwin. Where's your skill track? Where are you joining us from? Welcome. So our last soft skill session today. Tell us your name, your skill track, and where you're joining us from. Okay, today we'll be taking the topic of how to build presentation and time management skills for workplace productivity. And our facilitator today will be Mr. Tosin Bolaji. He's a dynamic HR professional that has over a decade of experience in talent development, performance management, business partnering, and leadership development. He's a corporate athlete whose experience cuts across both local and multinational organizations in various sectors, including nonprofits, agriculture, education, health, insurance, and telecommunications. He has a proven track record of identifying critical problems, developing solutions, influencing key stakeholders and senior management, and selling across organizations to improve business outcomes in highly matrix settings. Tosin is passionate about personal transformation and leadership development and has led several impact projects targeted at empowering young people in critical areas of personal, economic, and spiritual development. He is the author of Understanding Purpose, Vision, and Planning, a life-transforming book that distills practical wisdom for maximizing individual potential. He holds a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from the University of Lagos. He is an associate member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management and a certified talent developer by the Association of Talent Development Certification Institute, USA. So I'd like to welcome you to the stage. You're welcome, Mr. Tosin. I'm happy to have you here. Welcome, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Good evening, everyone. I really hope that you can hear me. If you can, please drop a yes in the chat room. Let's see in the comment section. Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, Milton. Thank you. Okay, can we have a few more comments before we proceed? It will also be interesting to know where we're joining from. If you're joining from Nigeria, if you're joining from outside Nigeria, let's know the city and the country that you are joining from. Okay. Any more comments? Any more comments? Okay. Thank you, Abuja, Nigeria. Thank you. Okay, great. All right, so we have about 60 minutes for this conversation. And first, I want to say a very big thank you to the organizers of this platform, the Next Generation platform. I wish I had this kind of platform, starting my career some 10 plus years ago. And interestingly, this is a platform that breaks the barrier of distance and also allows people to learn, across borders to get the information that they need to move on to the next level. So I'm quite excited to be here Yeah, I'm sharing, but I'm also a participant myself, and I look forward to gleaning one or two things from everyone on the call. So I want to say a very big thank you to Dr. Mrs. Hamilton, to you both for bringing me on this platform. So we're going to dive right into it. Dana, I see your message. Thank you. Platonis, thank you very much. We'll have some conversation for the next 45 minutes, and then we'll take questions afterwards. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comment section. We'll take them after now, and we hope to explore as many details as we can in the course of this conversation. We're talking about how to build presentation and time management skills. Um, I have put a rider there to say they're practical habits for high impact professionals. Okay, and over the next 45 minutes, like I said, we will be having conversations around really getting to know the bigger picture of why this is important, um, building effective presentation skills, and then exploring time management hacks that can make you more productive and more effective as a professional. And afterwards, we take questions and answers. All right. So, why do we need to care about communication and time management? A lot of times, some people would say that, oh, I love my job, I do my job so well. If the organization doesn't see that, I'll just ship out. But you see, if you move on to another organization and you're still great with your work ethics, your ability to churn out deliverables, your ability to focus on your work, your ability to um, do complex tasks that other people might not be able to do, you might still find yourself stuck in your career because of two things. Number one, communication. And number two, time management. And we'll look at time management from a little bit different angle, when we move on in this session. But just to help everyone be on the same page before we go ahead, here are three reasons why you need to be very deliberate about how you communicate and about how you manage time. Let me give you a disclaimer. I've never been this kind of speaker. I know some people who know me for maybe some years now may disagree with me, but I never started this way. Okay. However, over time, through practice, through a lot of intentionality, I'll stress that again. Through intentionality, I have been able to build these skills. So anybody can build these skills. Anybody can hone these skills. All right. The first thing you need to know is that technical know-how does not guarantee workplace success. It is important, but it does not guarantee workplace success alone. If you're a very great software developer, you're a very great project manager, you're a very great engineer, you're good at what you do, people know you in your turf. But if you cannot communicate it well, chances are high that someone with less technical skills than you, but with more people skills than you, will become your boss. It's not because they're doing favoritism. It's because as you grow in your career, the need for you to have conversations where the stakes are higher begins to increase. So it's important that you own your communication skills. And communication skills does not just mean the gift of gab. It doesn't just mean that I know how to speak, I'm eloquent, I'm fluent in English language or in any other official language in the country that you're joining from. But it also means, how do your recipients understand what you are sharing with them? Okay, so technical know-how does not guarantee workplace success. You need to know that. Secondly, is that employers have expectations, all right, and they need people who can communicate clearly, especially as you rise in your career. And even if you're early in your career, that alone can accelerate your career. The fact that you can communicate strongly, clearly, confidently, it makes people build trust, towards you. And you might start getting opportunities that your peers are not getting. All right. And employers are also looking for people who can deliver results on time, speaking to time management. The third thing is that the more you own your communication and time management skills, the stronger your personal brand. All right. So you'll be able to elevate both your ability to influence outcomes, or you get invited to tables that otherwise you might not have been invited to, and then your impact begins to increase. And that is how your brand begins to grow. Okay, so I'm moving on to the next slide now. Now let's focus on effective presentations. When people hear effective presentation, what comes to your mind? I want to go to the chat room. Just give me one or two, um, phrases that come to your mind when you hear, oh, effective presentation. I want to see what's on your mind. Please put it in the comment section. I'm headed now to the comment section. I want to see what you put in there. Okay, Janet has a background in project management. Great. I see Peter Gloria. Great. Any comments? Effective presentation. What comes to mind? Okay, so I'd like to say again that, as much as possible, I want this to be an interactive session. So please just stay close to your chat function so that we can engage more efficiently. Thank you, Damilare Emmanuel. Great to see you. Thank you. It means efficient and attention grabbing for your audience. Fantastic. Fantastic. I like what you mentioned there. Two keywords: attention and audience. Attention and audience. Paul says technical know-how alone does not guarantee success. Oh, yes, yes. Thank you. All right. So when we talk about effective presentations, it's not a one-man show. Yes, there might be a presenter, but there are people who are listening to you. And the people who are listening to you are as critical as you yourself, who is leading the presentation, because they need to get what you have in mind, not what they think you have in mind. All right. Your communication is clear when what you intended is what is actually received. Okay. Like I'm sharing with you now this evening, if what I am sharing is resonating with you, then I did my job well. However, if my idea is so fantastic in my head, and I'm the only one who is excited about it, no one else can connect with it. No one else really understands, how it is relevant for them. Then I'm not good with my communication. You know, um, I'm looking again at the chat room. Rebecca says effective communication skills. Yes, fantastic. Emmanuel says being able to clearly state what you want your audience to hear, and then being able to understand what you intended. Fantastic. Being understandable and clear in your presentation. Fantastic. Very spot on, Adana. Thank you. All right. So next slide for me, we're going to be looking at three areas in effective presentation. Number one is in understanding how to capture the main essence of your presentation. All right. I understand that there are many of us here who are project managers, and some of us are tech pros and techies, in the room. And while it's great to have those technical skills, you might need to present for different purposes. All right. So the first thing to do, personally, I advise people look away from anything PowerPoint or any of those presentation development AI tools that you see out there. The first thing you need to focus on, the first tool for your presentation, is your mind. All right. If the message is not clear in your mind, no matter the tool you use, it will be ineffective in reaching out to the audience the way you really want to reach out to the audience. You're looking at the screen right now. I used AI to present this information, by the way, but I only used AI after my thoughts were very clear in my mind. Okay. And AI gave me what I needed. I was able to finish it up in about 45 minutes. All right. But the major work started from the mind. So you need to identify, first of all, what are the goals for your presentation? Sometimes it's because you want to provoke an action. Maybe you're making a pitch to an investor or a potential client. All right. The information that you are packaging must be such that at the end of the day, it is compelling enough to draw them to make a call to action. All right. Or to make a decision. It can be to inform people. Say you're working across a team of people and you want them to know what has changed or what is changing or what to expect in the near future, that can be the goal of your presentation. Okay, so it's not one size fits all. The purposes might change from time to time. A third reason might be to educate on special knowledge, like we're doing this evening. All right, we just want to share. For some people, it's a reminder. For some people, it's the first time they're hearing this kind of thing. So the goal might be just to ensure that some people get a new knowledge to become better professionals and individuals. And finally, it can be to analyze a problem and propose a solution. Like I mentioned earlier, there might be an existing way things are done, and you are trying to propose a new way on how things should be done. All right. So the dynamics might change from time to time. It might even be just your regular weekly meeting that you have with your stakeholders. Okay. And you have a presentation to make. Your goal determines your approach. All right. Not every presentation requires the same approach. And it's important that you get the step by step building that I'm trying to lay this evening. So the second side of the screen is where you have your objective. Now, my goal is the overarching objective. But when I'm talking about objectives here, I'm talking about what are the steps I now need to take to ensure that I break down my communication in the way that you understand it. Okay, so objectives for me gives you the rundown. It manages your expectations start to finish of what to expect from my presentation, such that at the end of the day, the goal that I had in mind, which is whether for you to take an action or for you to respond to something or for you to become more aware, of something, all right, is achieved at the end of the day. So if I go back one slide or two slides, or three rather, this is my objective slide for this session. My goal is that at the end of the day, anyone who attends this session or watches the recording on YouTube or any of our other platforms will be able to go away with something actionable in terms of their time management skills and their presentation skills. But you see, my objectives are now broken down to say, first, I need to help you understand why it's important. Second, I need to show you the how of presentation skills. Third, I need to show you the how of time management skills. Then fourth, I give room for questions and answers. These are my objectives. Okay? I hope this is making some sense to you. Again, if you have questions, please drop them in the chat room. I won't be able to take questions now, but I'll just move on ahead. Hopefully, we can make this slide available, to everyone who is in attendance as well, for them to read through the deck later on. So after understanding your message and being clear, the next thing is to know your audience. Not every audience requires the same kind of information. For instance, if you are speaking to a group of software developers and you are a software developer, a product manager yourself, it's easy to exchange technical jargons, right? You can talk about the wireframes, you can talk about the interface, whatever it is, that is being that is the lingua within that space. But if you're talking to people who do not really understand all the technicalities of the tech space or the technicalities of your own space of work, you want to reduce the level of technicality you put into your conversation. And I've seen a lot of tech people miss this. Project managers, they just keep talking about the technicalities, maybe just to prove that you know your stuff or you own your stuff. But remember again, if your message is not clear to your audience, your communication is faulty. Okay? So I can come here now and be talking everything HR because I have an HR background, but you can't connect with it. I might be right, but am I really passing the message across to you? Okay? So it's important that you are sensitive of the level of competence of the people involved or your audience and your recipient of your information. Okay, so if they're technical people, yeah, you're free to go technical. If they're non-technical people, water it down to the layman language that they understand or use analogies that they can relate with. Okay, if they are scientific people, scientists don't like layman information. So they want you to bring all the scientific names into the conversation. That's what makes them flow. So you flow along. If you're talking to salespeople, of course, salespeople know this very well. You don't keep dwelling on technicalities. The moment you mention a technical jargon, you try to explain it in a way that people understand. If you cannot avoid using technical terms, then of course be ready to explain it in a way that people can understand what A means in plain English. All right. And finally, is narratives, using stories to communicate yourself. This cuts across every field, whether it's technical or non-technical. Stories sell, right? Short stories, anecdotes, things like that sell. Maybe more of that might come in my Q&A section, where I might be able to share some more practical experiences. But knowing your audience is very key. Another thing is knowing the learning styles of your audience. Okay, you might not be able to do an x-ray of everybody joining your call. For instance, I don't know the people who have joined this call, from where you have joined, what kind of learning style you prefer. I don't know. What I do know is that there are three major styles of learning. One is visual. All right, you want to see what you're learning. It makes you come alive. So you can see that this slide, for instance, has colors, it has pictures, it has things like check boxes. Imagine everything is taken out and what is left is just black text everywhere, the same size of font and everything. It's going to look very difficult to read. It's going to look like you're reading a book. All right, but it's supposed to be a presentation. It's supposed to make you connected, attention grabbing, like Damilare said earlier. So visual learners, you need to factor these learning styles into it. And that's why we have pictures on the screen. Okay, audio learners, these are people who maybe they do well with case studies, playing of videos. Of course, when you present, it's also part of the audio. All right, but there are people who just like to hear you, so you can't just use a monotonous tone. So imagine I come in this evening and I say good evening, welcome to this presentation. I'm going to be talking about how to use PowerPoint, and this is the tone of my voice all through. You're going to sleep maybe 6 or 7 minutes into the presentation. But you see, I'm changing my voice. I'm dramatizing. I'm doing different things. I'm performing, so to speak. It's part of it, because you are aware that there are audio people who are listening and engaging with your tone of voice and every other audio material you have to present. Kinesthetic are people who need to be involved. Exercises that involve them, they're practical, they're hands-on people. So you can see in the conversation, we started with saying, let's know where you're joining from. We said, what do you understand when presentation comes to your mind? Because we're trying to see how to engage everybody. So it's part of your presentation and knowing your audience. All right. Finally, on this slide is knowledge level. If you're an expert or if you're dealing with experts, you don't have to go through the basics. Just share information that they can readily relate with because they know the basics, right? If you're dealing with intermediate professionals or stakeholders in the knowledge area you're sharing about, balance your overview with details. Not too much details, but balancing it with the overview so that they can see the bigger picture of what you're sharing, and then you can share a bit more contextual detail in a very concise way, and you move on. If you're dealing with beginners, which is a mix of what I would say we have here this evening, some of us are experts, some of us are beginners. I don't want to lose the audience. All right, especially for those who might be beginners, and that's why we're providing these foundational concepts. So you see, a few of these things that we are talking about, I'm already explaining them through the slide itself. Now, the first thing we did was to understand the goals and the objectives. The second thing we have just looked at is to understand your audience. The third thing is now, how do you organize your ideas? And there's a very simple and interesting way to do it. It's called storyboarding. This concept is what cinematographers use in building cartoons, in building movies and all that, acts and scenes, what should follow what should happen before what. I once heard a movie director say, anytime you want to start a movie, you begin from the end of the movie. What's the end of the movie looking like? Then what will feed into it? Up until they get to the beginning of the movie. So it begins from the end to the beginning. All right. And that's what a storyboard does for you. Basically, it's all your thoughts on paper. Remember, I said when you're starting presentation, don't just go straight to the app and say, oh, I want to design this and that. Designing is meant to enhance your concept, your ideas. So begin first from the idea. And now that you know your audience, now that you know what you're trying to drive at the end of the day, in terms of the action that you want them to take, it's time to organize your thoughts. By that, you use what we call a storyboard. The next slide talks about how do you develop a storyboard. My personal opinion is that if you can do a storyboard, your presentation is 50% done. All right, it's 50% done. And in 6 steps, I'll take you through it. The first 3 on the upper side of the screen from left to right, and then the lower 3 from left to right. The first thing is just draw boxes on a piece of paper. So imagine that my slide that you're seeing now, you can see some sketches of rough boxes. That's what I do in every presentation, including this one that you are listening to. All right, I just draw a few boxes out there and I ask myself, okay, what's my top goal here? Do I want people to take an action? Do I just want to inform them? Do I want to educate them on a new knowledge area? Once that is clear to me, then I ask myself, what are the things, if I were to be the participant, what are the things that would make sense for me to have seen in this presentation? Okay, I put myself in the shoe of the audience. So first, I just create some empty boxes. I just assign numbers to them. And then I just put some subtopics. So for instance, for this presentation, I asked myself, I'm an adult. In adult learning, people like to know why what you're sharing is important. So I started my slide with bigger picture. Okay, I wrote that. Then I wrote presentation skills. Then I wrote time management. So that forms 3. Of course, I needed to expand it. The beautiful thing is you can cancel and rewrite and cancel and rewrite. Okay, so I put my subtopics on each of the boxes I created on paper. Then the next thing, I put some bullet points under them. And as I did, I realized that, okay, I'll need to blow this up a little bit more. Or I'll need to take this out of here and put it here. It flows more in this box than in this box. Everything I'm doing just on one paper. All right. For those of you who are conversant with the idea of a business model canvas, it's a business plan on one page. It's the same approach. All right. You're putting everything together on one page. Once I'm done dumping my ideas on paper, the next thing I want to do is to refine the flow. Which one should come before which one? All right. As much as possible, avoid analysis paralysis. Oh, I must get it right the first time. I want to get the boxes, right, because I've labeled them. You can always cancel and relabel your boxes. Okay, the most important thing is that you're putting your ideas on paper, you are rearranging and moving it around. Okay, next is from building your thoughts and bullet points on paper, you begin to see where you might need to put a table or a chart or a picture or an image or a video. It just comes alive to you because you have put your thoughts out there. And then now you can move to whether PowerPoint or Gamma or Beautiful AI or any other presentation tool out there. Okay, I hope that makes sense. If time permits, we'll take an exercise. And if time doesn't permit, we'll just go straight to the Q&A. Now that we know the process for organizing our thoughts, for reading our audience, for determining the end outcome of our presentation, we can talk about the tools and the look and feel of presentation. Okay, personally, I use a free platform, which I would encourage everyone to start using. It's free of charge. You don't have to build your templates from the scratch. There's a template called, or a platform called Presentation Go. I'm sure there are several others online. I have some paid platforms that I also use, but a free platform for everyone to make outstanding presentation is presentationgo.com. You get a lot of downloadable templates there. They're free, they're editable. You can use them in Google slide format or in PowerPoint slide format. There's another platform called thenounproject.com. This platform gives you access to thousands of icons. All right, you're looking for the icon of someone holding a flag, you're looking for the icon of a laptop, you're looking for the icon of a website, whatever it is, any icon that you need is there already for you. Okay, and of course, if you want to get images or things that you will normally not find in just icon format, like emojis that are colored, if you want them in your presentations and things like that, Google is your friend. Just Google it, search for images, download them and use it on your presentation to drive your message home, especially for your visual learners. All right. Another thing to note towards the right of the screen is your colors and your themes. All right. If you look at this current slide, you will notice that 1.5 essential resources for polished presentations is written in orange and the background is white. This is one tool in design. Your when you contrast your background with your text, all right? So if you're using a white background, any dark color would go. Imagine if the 1.5 essential resources was written in yellow. You'll probably be squinting your eyes to read it. So you don't want to put two bright colors together. Again, if you look at where I have written free PPT template, you will see that it's written in white, but the background is dark. So it's reader friendly. Okay. Every text that you see on the screen, you would see a contrast. Where there is a light font color, you see that the background is dark. When there's a light background, you see that the text is dark. All right. These contrasts are very important, and they make your presentation to come alive, and to become visually friendly. Charts and tables are things that you should put in your presentation. Less word, less essay, less text. All right. More of charts, more of tables where possible. Shapes and outlines are also very important. What you see on the screen right now are just shapes, just rectangles that are colored with text in them. That's simple, but it changes the entire view of it, uh, vis-a-vis when you are putting everything as if it's just a word document. Okay. Slide numbers are also very important. It makes your presentation very professional. If you look at the lower right side of my screen, you'll see there I put slide number 9. So we're currently on slide 9. All right. Footnotes and additional references are also important. PowerPoint and many other platforms, AI platforms for presentation, can help you to do just that. All right. So with that, we have come to the end of our brief conversation on PowerPoint. With the things I've shared, I'm sure that if you just do a little more personal research into these things, you'll get a hang of them. PowerPoint is super. If you don't have this skill, you see, it's like writing in this generation. Okay. When someone says, imagine you go for an interview and someone says, "Oh, tell us about yourself," and you say, "Okay, my superpower is I can read and write." Everybody will look at you like, anybody can do that. So what else? That's how PowerPoint is. So you need to know PowerPoint. You might be very great in software development and all those tech skills, but you see, if you cannot use a platform that can clearly and simply communicate your message to your audience, it's going to limit your influence. It's going to limit your impact as a professional. So you want to pay attention to PowerPoint. Let's take a look at time management. I have just about 10 more minutes before we take Q&A. So I'll try to speak to time management. When we hear time management, most times what comes to people's mind is, the ability to, again, don't let me jump back ahead of myself. Let me go to the chat room. When you hear time management, what comes to mind? I want to know. Quick one, in 1 minute. Time management, what comes to your mind? Anything. There's no right or wrong answer, but I just want to hear. I want to hear from you. Time management. Mind. One expression to your mind. Rose Kings says, okay. Rose King, project management. Thank you. Time management. What comes to your mind? I'm waiting to see your comments. Effective usage of time. Thank you, Jethro. Effective usage of time. Any other person? Any other person? Ability to manage time. Absolutely. All right. Ability to manage time. Fantastic. Thank you, Platon. It's good use of time. Damilari, thank you. Thank you. All right. So when we hear time management, of course, the first thing that tends to come to our mind is time itself. Okay. This is one resource that we all have in equal measures. All right. But I'd like to just draw your attention to a few things with this next slide. Because when we hear time, we look at our schedule and we look at how to put more activities into our schedule, things like that. And then we are racing against multiple priorities. Okay. But time management is less about scheduling and more about managing your energy, your attention, and your priorities. Because not everything requires the same level of attention. Okay, thank you, Adana. Ability to present what you have within the given time. Ability to present what you have within the given time. Fantastic. So it's about managing your energy because you are more productive at certain times of the day. That's the truth. For some people, it's late at night. For some people, it's very early in the morning. For some people, it's during the day when they have some music, playing in their head. For some people, it's when they have some quiet time where nobody is interrupting them. We all respond to energy in different ways. We emit our energies, in different ways. Thank you, Rebecca. Ability to meet up with deadlines. That's scheduling. Very open and honest here with us. That comes to our mind a lot. We think of meeting up with deadlines and all that. Deadlines are important, but you want to ensure that the deadline that you're chasing is the most important one at that time. Okay, I'll move on again. It's less about ticking off your to-do lists and it's more about focusing on getting the right things done at the right time. Okay, there is no ended. There is no point trying to put up a great show when nobody is interested anymore. So it's important that what you are doing is the priority for the moment. Okay, if you know, for instance, that you are more productive in the mornings, right? Then you want to protect your energy and your time to do your most complex tasks at those times. All right, and then your less complex activities can move on to where times where there can be distractions or your energy is low or things like that. And then your attention, when your attention is strongest, put your biggest tasks in those moments. All right, we're talking about time management. Okay, now the thought is procrastination and perfectionism. These are things that can kill time and that can kill personal productivity in the workplace. Moving what you should do now till later. There's a difference between scheduling and prioritizing aright and procrastinating. Procrastination means I just move this task indefinitely, not because I have prioritized it or I have scheduled it, but somewhere in my mind I just feel I'll do it later. I have not ranked it on my scale of priorities to give it a definite time, so I keep moving it forward. That's procrastination. All right. Thank you, Janet. Time management means organization and planning. Fantastic. Okay. And perfectionism is very close to procrastination. You want to make sure you cross all the T's, dot all the I's, make sure that everything is prim and proper. Say progress over perfection. It's better to have a deliverable that is not 100%, that is 80% done, and your stakeholders know it's 80% done, than to not communicate because you're waiting to be 100% done, and that by the time it's 100% done, it's too late or it's too close to deadline, and it looks like you're putting everybody on the edge. Okay, now let's look at the next slide. Some acts about time management. How much time do I have? Oh, 3 minutes. Okay. The first one is called the Eisenhower matrix. You probably have heard of it before, where they say things around urgent and important tasks, not urgent and not important tasks. If you look to the left of your screen, um, that matrix basically helps you to prioritize based on two things: the urgency and the level of importance. Okay, so if you look at the matrix of to the horizontal axis at the top, it says urgent and not urgent. And then if you look at the vertical axis to the left side of the screen, it says important and non-important. What do you do with tasks that are urgent and important? A task that is urgent and important is one that your stakeholder has sent to you, has given you a timeline for it. You have agreed to the timeline. You know that your input in this thing is going to affect the outcome for the rest of the people. It's urgent and it's important. It should form top priority of your task for the day. Even if you have some other tasks that you're very good at and you just want to start your day on the energy of, oh, let me quickly clear, these quick tasks before I get onto that one. You might be able to do it, but what you might be losing out on is your energy and your attention span. Remember, I said earlier, time management is about managing your energy, your attention, and your priorities. Okay? Your energy and your attention are totally internal. But you see, your priorities sometimes can be shared with manage tasks and priorities involve other people as well. What do you do with tasks that are important but they are not urgent? You plan them, you schedule them. Like someone just said now, you organize and plan them for a particular time where you can attend to them. If a task is urgent but it is not important, it is urgent but it is not important, you can delegate it, or if you don't have direct reports who you manage, you can move it up until later, right? At your leisure, at your available time, you can do it. Okay. And finally, if it's not urgent and it is not important, feel free to discard it. All right, or do it after your work hours where there are no uh, um, priorities or demands placed on you to deliver. Okay, so that's the Eisenhower matrix. The next one is called the Pomodoro technique. Now, basically, what this technique says is that you're just trying to time yourself and give yourself, say, 25 minutes to get a task done. And then, you start your timer and then you focus on it. It's somewhat gamified, you might say, but you're racing against time. So if someone comes in between, because you know that you're trying to focus on 25 minutes and getting things done, it puts a little bit of pressure on you to deliver within those 25 minutes. And it helps you to focus your energy and your attention. You might not finish in those 25 minutes. It's a free world. You can restart it after the first 25 minutes. Okay. And that just helps you. It can sometimes help you to jumpstart, what you are trying to do or solve. It helps you to brainstorm and do things in a sprint. Okay. And part of the Pomodoro technique is to say that after your first 25 minutes of the task, stand up, take a walk around, and come back to, run another 25 minute sprint. It helps you to stay, flowy. Sitting for too long and working 1 hour, 2 hours, because you want to close a task without moving around actually slows you down over time. All right. Moving around helps your brain to refresh. All right. Helps your blood circulation to be better, helps you to refresh your mind and your body and your presence. By the time you come back, you're coming back with a better energy. The Pomodoro technique is based on the fact that after 25 minutes, your energy begins to deplete if you don't refresh. Okay, so that's why it's set at 25 minutes. The third one, which is most common, is time blocking. Time blocking is to say from this time to this time, I want to focus on certain tasks. So you go and block it in your calendar. And I see that a lot of people get this pushback, maybe even young professionals, to say, oh, my boss will just fix a time. Focus time. You can negotiate with your manager. You can negotiate with your direct reports to say, okay, please, I'd like to block this time of my day every day just to do some focused work. All right. It helps you. Okay. As you can see to the far right side of the screen, time blocking, you have gone to your calendar, you have blocked those times so that nobody is putting a meeting there. And if they have to put a meeting there, they will have to let you know first that, okay, it's happening at this time. Would you be able to attend and this and that? And then you can reschedule if you can reschedule either the meeting or your focus time that you have blocked to accommodate the different requirements of the work per time. But blocking your time allows you to steer clear of distractions or interruptions so that you can focus on your work. For me, 8 to 10 in the morning every day is blocked on my calendar. Sometime later in the day is also blocked on my calendar because I don't want people putting meetings there. All right. Have I had to shift from time to time? Yes, I've had to change it from time to time, but for those are the exceptions. The other times I'm able to focus on the work. There's the 80-20% rule, but I'm going to use that to, wrap up this current slide to say, if you are able to prioritize well, you would find out that you are focusing on your most important tasks first. All right. And if you're doing that, then 80% of your energy will be going into the 20% that delivers most of your results. Okay. So time blocking, Pomodoro technique, Eisenhower matrix, these are tools that you can use. Again, they won't work on their own. They won't work because you see it on the screen. Trying to do everything at once might also not work. Just try to pick one per time and begin to build on it gradually. Additional tips. Conversation to a close before Q&A is to plan your week ahead before your day. Tomorrow is Monday, for instance. What I have seen a lot of professionals do is they plan Monday for Monday. They plan Tuesday for Tuesday. Each day, planning each day has its own place. But you see, planning your week is even more effective. If you can stretch it, you can plan your month. Okay, planning your month means what are the top 3 to 5 priorities for this month? How am I scheduling them into each week? Then you're looking at your week to say this is Monday to Friday. What are the meetings I'm having on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? What inputs do I need to have made ready for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday meetings? Okay. When you look at your week, you can see what activities are happening on what day. And then you can schedule them accordingly. Okay. So you can schedule them accordingly. Emmanuel, am I still audible? Hello?
Yes, yes, you are.
Okay, great, great. Thank you. I got tripped off a little bit. I'm going back to my presentation mode. Great, thank you. Just yeah. Okay, yes, this is where I was. Thank you. Okay, yeah. So I was saying planning your week helps you to see what activity is happening on what day, and it helps you to prepare in advance. When you have planned your week, then it becomes more effective to plan your day because you now see where certain things need to be done at certain times. All right. So if you have been doing this, good luck to you already. But if you haven't been doing it, you might want to try that this evening. Just take a look at your week, journey through your week in your mind, and begin to map out where are the major activities or meetings or things that need to happen and what you need to do to ensure you're ready for those times. I've mentioned number 2 earlier already, protect your deep work. All right. So schedule time on your calendar. That calendar is not just meant for people to put meetings there for you or for you to schedule meetings with other people. You can also block your time to meet with yourself and get work done. Number 3 is respect people's time and your own time. No matter how skilled you are, if people feel like you always show up late to meetings or you don't have a sense of urgency around managing their expectations, they're going to lose trust in you, and your level of influence with them is going to go down the drain a lot. So it's important to respect others people's time. How can you do that? Number 1 is by moving on to number 4 now, clarifying the expectations early. If you've just had a meeting with a stakeholder, a client, a team member, your direct report, your superiors at work, if something is not clear, ask early. Okay, ask early. Don't think a question is too silly to ask. It's better to look silly now than to go and do something that you felt was what you were supposed to do, and then D-Day comes and then they realize that what you did was a far cry from what they expected. Okay, so it's better to deflate any unclear areas on time. And also, if you know you're going to be missing a deadline, let your stakeholders know. If you're running late to a meeting, you will most likely know if you're running late, right? We all know. You will most likely know if your presentation or your deadline for delivering a work is going to lag by some hours or maybe even a day or more. Let your stakeholders know and let them know why it's happening. Let them know how much time you need more. Don't just say, "Oh, sorry, I won't be able to deliver today again," and leave it there, or say, "I will deliver very soon," and you leave it open-ended. Manage expectations properly. Okay, you're running late to meetings, you're running late to deliverables. Finally, is under promise, over deliver. um Most times when we jump on a task, we feel that, oh, I should be able to close this task in 1 day or 2 days. Try as much as possible, to give yourself 3 days, for instance, then deliver in 2 days. Okay, so negotiate for higher where possible. Of course, where it's not possible, you know that your hands are up, you have to deliver. But it's better to give yourself a little more time than you need and then deliver before that time. That way, you build a brand as someone who, can be trusted to deliver tasks on time. And if anything happens that will delay your work, at least you have a wiggle room to ensure that you're able to deliver to time. Finally, as I wrap up my presentation, there is this quote by Michael Altshuler, who is a leadership and sales guru in the United States. I like this quote that he says, and I thought to put it out here. The bad news is that time flies, but the good news is that you're the pilot. So you decide where your time goes through managing your energy, your priority, and your attention. With that, I want to say a very big thank you for listening to me. We'll take questions now. I hope we can spend some 10, 15 minutes to take questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tosin. Such an insightful and impactful session. Um, so much to learn, so much to
Thank
take
you.
away. Um, just learn that 20% of your effort gives you 80% of your results. And it's time for our questions and answer. And please don't forget to take your attendance and ensure that you you fill the attendance form, and then you will be given the slide at the end of this program. Thank you so much. So can we have our questions?
Questions, questions. Okay, there's a question. Okay, so there's a question in the chat room. Emmanuel, can you see it?
Yes, okay. So the question by Damilare Manuel: do you advise we plan less on our tasks for the day? Oftentimes, I have a single task covering majority of my time. So what would you say about that, sir?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, great, Damilare, good question. So sometimes it's about negotiating timelines with our stakeholders. Um, I share same sentiment with you, Damilare, when it comes to a task taking the majority, of time, and what we can do with that. Because again, like I said earlier, we can manage our energy, we can manage our um, um, energy, time, attention, right? But sometimes our priorities are not ours alone, and some other priorities might creep in that require urgent and immediate attention, and they will disrupt our own priorities if we were to run solo. In such situations, what we can do is to negotiate timelines with other people. All right. At the end of the day, you are in control. We are in control. But at the end of the day, let me go back to the matrix. Urgent, important. If what is taking the majority of my time is a deal breaker for so many things, then if a new priority is coming in, I negotiate it with whoever I'm working with. So I give you an example. There was a time that I was really swamped at work. I had like 3, 4 things to do, and I I had to approach my manager to say, okay, you're giving me these new tasks to do. These are the 3, 4 things I'm working on. Which of them can I pause to get this done? All right. Um, I'm not saying that I can't do it, but see, the truth is, you can't do everything. We can't do everything at the same time. It's a fact. My principal at the time, the person said, you know what, don't bother, I'll give this to another person. So you see, by effectively, and that's also important, you need to know your priorities. I can't just go and tell my manager, oh, I can't deliver now because I'm working on some things. What is some things? Okay, so it has to be clear, written clearly. So putting up a professional face, I'm putting up a responsible self. Okay, so I'm showing there's task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4. Which of these would you prefer that I penned to close this new task you have given me? Or this new task you have given me, can I deliver in 3 days' time? Why I'm asking is because I have 1, 2, and 3, which require delivery by tomorrow and next tomorrow. That way, you get the buy-in of your stakeholder. Your stakeholder can say, okay, you know what, deliver in 3 days' time, or pause on this task, take on this one now, and get it done. At the end of the day, it's about managing stakeholder priorities. If it's a customer, you can't tell a customer to wait for 3-4 days. That's urgent, that's important. You have to attend to it. Okay, so you need to create space for when you're dealing with external stakeholders and when you're dealing with internal stakeholders. So back to your question, if doing less is more productive, then by all means, yes. Okay, if doing less is going to make you more productive in terms of the outcome, please by all means give it a shot.
Okay, thank you very
Okay,
much, Mr.
Adana
Tosin.
says thank
Okay,
you.
so Adana said, what are the practical steps of improving your speaking/communication skills?
Okay, fantastic. First of all, practical steps you said, so I'm going to be very practical with you. Is any meeting that you go for, ensure that you speak. Don't go into a meeting and be quiet throughout that meeting. When you put yourself on the spot that you must contribute to this meeting, whether through a question or an actual contribution, or exploring an idea more, within the meeting, it's important because, again, communication helps you build visibility. And the more you put yourself out there, the more you give yourself the ability to build those skills. Okay. They say practice in front of the mirror and do all of those things. If you need to do that, yes, do it. I do that a lot of times. Sometimes, for instance, preparing for this presentation this evening, some thoughts came to my mind as I was driving earlier in the day. I was just saying it to myself. Okay. At some point, I was walking around the house. I was just saying it out loud to myself. What am I trying to do? I am trying to practice. It's that simple. I'm trying to practice. So put yourself out there in meetings. First of all, make sure that you contribute. Don't be the quiet member in the meeting. If you're quiet in a meeting, if your presence cannot be felt, then if your absence in a meeting cannot be felt, then your presence is irrelevant. All right. I'm not saying that you must just talk and just talk anything, but make sure that you are making contributions and you are deliberate, you are intentional about the contributions that you're making. You're not just talking because your voice must be heard, you are talking because you are an important stakeholder in that meeting. So that is going to help your communication skill. Um, Another thing that can help your communication skill is to ensure that you speak out loud and clear. Okay, YouTube is our friend. When I was starting out, I did a lot of YouTube videos. I'll watch Toastmasters on YouTube or TEDx on YouTube, and I just listen and observe. There's a lot we learn, by observing, people who speak, people who share, people who gesticulate as they're talking, they're pausing, they're dragging their words, things like that. It comes with practice, but if you don't start, it won't grow. Okay, so you need to do that. When it comes to presentation, as much as possible, know your material. You don't want to be reading your slides to people. Maybe you have been in a meeting, for instance, you see that some people just focus on the slide. They're not engaging with the audience. They're not talking to the audience. They just keep pointing at the slide and then, that's it on the screen. That's it on the screen kind of thing. That is not, an effective way to command presence when you're communicating. So know your material. Your material is meant to just guide your listeners. Your material is not meant for you to be reading it out to them. They can read. All right. And that's why we say less text on your slides, but speak more and speak to impact, not just to show that you can talk. All right. Your conversation, whether or not very deliberate about communicating value to your audience, something they can use, something they can go away with, something that is relevant for the situation. Even if you are not as expressive, maybe as I'm doing it right now, people will listen to you. Look at many politicians. They are not so, verbose and eloquent, but they speak with confidence and people listen. You see, and whatever they're saying is relevant. So you want to put yourself in a situation where whatever you are saying is relevant to your audience, and don't be apologetic for saying it. Some people will say, I don't know if I'm making sense. I'm sorry, but I want to add. No, don't be apologetic. Convey your thoughts. They are your thoughts. All right. Whether they're right or wrong, they are your opinions, and anyone can be right or wrong at any time. But try to convey your thoughts as much as you can. Hope that answers your question. And um, Emmanuel, can we go to the next question? Okay. Someone says, can you speak more to the Pomodoro technique? What if you really have an urgent task and you can't take breaks? Well, I mean, again, like I said, these things are not cast in stone, but it helps you refresh your mind. The idea of Pomodoro technique is not to stand up and faff around or to stand up and just go for a long time and come back. Sometimes it helps you to really just take a breather and move on. Okay. Pomodoro, again, I'd say is the idea is 25 minutes focused work. You time it so that you're looking at the time, it's counting down from 25 to 20, and you want to finish it before it counts down to 0. Once it reaches that stage, you can just stand up where you are, stretch, sit down, back, continue. It helps blood circulation. Sometimes we strain ourselves, we stress ourselves too much. I'm guilty of this. Sometimes I walk for a stretch of time without standing up, and then you just see yourself stretching on your seat. You don't feel comfortable. Your body is giving you some vital signals to move around, stretch. I need a breather. Okay, and then come back to it 1 minute, and then you're back. It could be 1 minute stroll to the bathroom and you're back. It could be 1 minute stroll around your office space, or if you work remotely, 1 minute stroll around your workspace, and then you're back. It doesn't mean that you're distracted. If you can go ahead, beyond the 25 minutes without breaking, that's also fine. I tried it at some point, although I've not been consistent with Pomodoro technique. All right. But the moment I tried it, I see significant improvement in my alertness. Okay. So that's it. If you really have an urgent task and you can't take a break, of course, by all means, you dive right in. Okay.
Okay, so the next
Okay.
question is from Rose King. How do you manage the situation when you have a group task and others are not able to meet up while you are done with yours and you can't make a final submission without them? So how do you carry everybody along?
Okay. Again, this is still a question of stakeholder management. You have done your part. Some other people have not done their parts. Um, in the case that you're the project lead, or maybe not, you can speak to the project lead to say, we need more time. Can we reach out to this stakeholder and just request for an extension of time to allow everybody finish? If you're the project lead, of course, you can engage your stakeholder to say, please give me more time when they will be able to finish. Okay, maybe other priorities have taken their time. Agree to a new timeline with the people on your group, and then go to your stakeholder and request, an extension. Okay. If your team is saying they will deliver in 2 hours, request 4 hours, for instance, from your stakeholder, so that in the case they don't deliver in 2 hours, at least you still have some leeway, to buy time and close the task. But if you are not the project lead, one thing you can do is to engage whoever is the project lead to say, see, with the way we are going, this work is not going to get done at this time. We need to manage our stakeholders' expectation. So I please want to suggest that we speak to this person, buy more time so that everybody can be done, and then we can provide the holistic deliverable. So that's one way you can do it. Okay. I hope that answers your question, Rose King. All right. Any more questions? Any more questions? Okay, so um, I'll just like to say at this point, that everything we have discussed, if you don't use it, nothing is going to change. All we're going to have is a knowledge constipation, and there will be no increase in our brand. Remember, we talked when we started about why this is important. It helps you to build your brand, it helps you to build your impact and your influence. It helps you to be seen as a top talent in an organization or a top stakeholder in the work environment that you find yourself. Finally, again, that you are great with your technical skills does not guarantee career success. Okay, your communication skills are important. They help you build visibility. Let me give you an example. um about 4 years, 4 years going on 5 years ago, I was privileged to be part of what they call the calibration meeting of an organization that I was working for then. Calibration process for the year. You set goals at the start of the year, middle of the year you did the check-in, end of the year you have done the end year review. All right. You now want to identify who are the top performers, who are people you are considering for promotion. Not everybody will be promoted, and available spaces for promotion or for giving people bigger platforms is not available for everyone. So you have to like really, really look at how do you select people. So what I realized is that there were a lot of qualified people. There were a lot of excellent guys who had done above and beyond. Okay, I was in that room because of the nature of my role at the time. Implementing the actions, taking notes of what the management was trying to achieve. So limited roles, but several people. Then the next thing that they were doing was calling the names of these people one by one. Okay, this person, and then they keep quiet, and then they listen to the C-level colleagues to talk about them. If nobody can really talk about them, that name gets dropped. And if people can talk about them as, oh, I know this guy, I know this lady, a fantastic guy, they don't work directly with this person, but they have a perception of the person. How do they have a perception? Communication, whether communication through email, communication through presentations, communication through actual walking up to people, engaging with people beyond their space, not just staying within your work and saying, I'll just do my work well. I don't want to talk with people. I just love this tech space. Let me not engage with
Okay, okay. Thank you very much, sir. It was indeed an insightful class. I am very pleased to have you here. Thank you very much, sir. I have key
Okay,
takeaways. I have key takeaways that I took from your presentation. One was the more you have communication, the more you grow your brand. I think that is really important for in terms to market yourself, because you can be the best in your field, but if you don't know how to communicate that, nobody knows you. So it's really all about communication. And the other one is to focus your energy where you are more productive. That was really good, because if you are productive in the morning, you should do most of your work in the morning. You should try to plan yourself and prioritize so that you can be very productive in what you set to do. So thank you very much, sir, for that. I'm grateful. And I'm sure all of us are grateful for taking the time to really teach us. It's a really good experience. Thank you very much, sir.
thank you. Thank you for having me. Sorry, I saw a question that I think we haven't addressed by Godwin. What are some effective? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. Please let me just take a wing at this question. What are some effective time management strategies for balancing academic responsibilities with other aspects of life? So the question here is about balance. First of all, we all juggle different balls or glass balls, as one of my bosses would call it. And for some of us who might be working already and you're taking a program on the side, like I am currently doing, I'm in your shoes, Godwin, and you still have family to balance. Maybe you're married, or maybe you just have other priorities outside of work that you still have to balance. Again, it goes back to stakeholder management. Okay. In this case, your stakeholders might not be just your colleagues at work, it might also be your family members and maybe even your children. Okay, because at home children need your time and all of that. um, One thing that I've been advised to do and that I've done and that has worked is let know who your key stakeholders are. Who are the people that will be affected as a result of this additional venture that you're taking up? All right. Will your wife be affected? If you're not married, will your spouse or maybe your partner to be affected? Because it's going to take your time. You're going to have to study. You're going to have to maybe you belong to a religious organization where you're deeply involved. You lead something and it takes a lot of your time in a mosque or in a church. You need to let them know that, see, I'm taking on a program, it's going to be taking so and so time. For that reason, I might have to take a cut on my level of involvement in this and that for the time being. You need to negotiate it, because if you don't, other people will plan your time for you, and at the end of the day you find that you're not making as much progress as you should make. um in Nigeria, for instance, a lot of times people take work home, right? You have a laptop, so they expect you to keep working at home and deliver something the following morning. So you let them know, right? To say, please, I'm taking classes after work, so I might not be able to do much work once I leave the office to the following day. What are the things you need me to close out earlier in the day? You see that now. Again, you're negotiating priorities. So a lot of negotiation with stakeholders is really going to come in. For your wife needs to know that you're taking on a new venture here. And if you don't manage these expectations early, it might lead to conflict, even with your kids. So when they know that it's daddy's study time, it's mommy's study time, that way they give you a little bit of space and you can plan towards it. And they even become your supporters. Because once they know that 7 to 9 p.m. you're supposed to be studying, your children would tell you that, mommy, you're supposed to be studying. You see, they become your accountability partners because you managed expectations. But if you don't do that, you might find yourself trying to please everybody, trying to meet everybody's expectation within the limited time that you have, and it's not going to work. All right. So that's just what I want to say. Okay, thank you very much. I'll stop there.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you all for taking the time to join us today. This is our last session of the cohort. I hope you understood, you took in some notes. It was a very impactful class. Please do not forget to sign your attendance. Please don't forget to sign your attendance. That will know that you joined the class. And I'll talk about the other sessions we've been in since this is the last session. We started with how to build digital literacy skills for workplace productivity the 4th of May. We also did how to build critical thinking and negotiation skills for workplace productivity. We dealt with how to ace job interviews. We dealt with how to build problem-solving skills for workplace productivity. We did how to build emotional intelligence skills for workplace productivity. And we did how to build communication and collaboration skills for workplace productivity. And today we learned how to build presentation and time management skills for workplace productivity. I want to thank you all for being here today. Our next TCP program will be personalized mentorship for each track. And I encourage you all to be active in your groups, to take part, to not be quiet, like the facilitator said. We should make our presence felt. We should learn to distribute and to be productive in any ways we find ourselves. Thank you very much for your time. I'm grateful. Thank you very much. So I'd like to close the group. Before we close, let's say a short prayer. Father, we thank you. We thank you for bringing us today. We thank you for the successful completion of our session. We thank you for our smooth events. We pray that you give us retentive memory to remember what we have learned in Jesus' name. Please, you can connect with our facilitator on LinkedIn at Tosin Bolaji on LinkedIn. Connect with him, please. Thank you very much.